facing adversity, overcoming adversity, having your restaurant ran through with a car.
This has become my home,
Yeah.
my permanent home.
I'm checking my watch right now, and it's 1:15 Thai time. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Brand Builders. Today, I have a heck of an episode, a real banger coming at you, because I have the man, the myth, the legend himself in my basement. He's a man who needs no introduction. If you know him, you love him. If you don't know him, you need to get your butt down Chapman Highway to Thai time. Jay Polmanee is here. Jay, can you kind of introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, Matt. My name is Jay. I'm the owner, operator of Thai Time on Chapman Highway, South Knoxville. I've been in business at Thai Time for about 3 years, but I've been in the food service world for about 2 decades.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the things I wanted to kind of get into. I think I've talked a little bit about your family's history, kind of the travels to Knoxville over the years. But I would love to kind of hear your perspective on how you ended up in Knoxville, how you ended up being the owner of Thai Time, and just what it was like growing up in the kitchen of a Thai restaurant for most of your life.
Yeah, for sure. So my parents started working in the United States about 30 years ago, and then they met working on a cruise ship. And long story short, they had me study in Thailand for the first 8 years of my life, and then they came and brought me over. And we lived in Florida for quite some time, and we had another Thai and sushi place there. So I started out as a busboy, waiter, all the positions you can think of. And then we moved up to Knoxville back in 2009, 2010. And we had another restaurant called Jai Thai and Japanese. Not related to the current one, but we just been in the food service business for a long, long time. So I've worked many odd jobs, and all of them are just all food related. So
yeah, I think there's something probably like universal about one, like being first generation immigrants coming to the country, and then two, like being a small business family of kind of like you grew up learning basically all of the responsibilities of owning a restaurant. So even though you've only owned Thai Time for a few years, I'm sure you do have like the experience of someone who's been doing this for decades.
Oh, most definitely.
So I wanted to kind of do a deep dive. We're obviously doing kind of a rebranding project, trying to figure out ways to position your story, your restaurant, in our community in ways that maybe attracts people who maybe haven't heard of you in the past, or people who maybe are just looking to broaden their horizons with food. But I think kind of more than that, I think your restaurant is a great example to me of the value of small businesses in a local community. So where you're positioned right now is a portion of South Knoxville that doesn't have a ton of restaurants nearby, which is one of the reasons why I was gravitated towards you, because you're just so close to my house. But kind of beyond that, I feel like you are kind of an integral part of my little neck of the woods. So when it comes to like being a small business owner in a growing city where there are tons of big chains kind of moving into Knoxville, what does it mean to you to be a small business owner? And what's kind of the motivation for you to kind of just, do the daily grind of owning a small business?
For sure. So I've lived here longer than I've lived in Florida or anywhere else in America. So this has become my home, my permanent home. And so I feel like community is an important part of any small business, because without their support, you can't really get far on your own. So it's definitely a team effort, and also just the support from the community, and any business in the area would agree. In order to stand out from these chains and corporate structures, and to stand out, you have to be unique, but you also have to be kind and generous and also just family oriented, because without it, then you're just a straight up corporate faceless entity, basically.
I think it's very true. I have a friend named Bryce who loves your restaurant, and I think, he is probably just one example, but like I think, for someone who's living in a spot in Knoxville or wherever, you start to kind of create these like touch points of community that I think small businesses can do, where your McDonald's or your Taco Bell just can't. And I want to thank you, one, for being willing to put in the effort of the daily grind of being a small business owner, because I think everybody knows how much work. I guess nobody really knows how much work you put into making sure Thai Time succeeds, but without people like you who are willing to put in the effort, who are willing to sacrifice their time, their energy to make these little touch points exist, I think the world would be sadder. I think that might sound dramatic, but I think it's true. I think when I think of my favorite restaurants, my favorite places to go on weekends or whatever, it ends up being like the small places, even if it like, the food isn't as fancy as some of these big chains, or like the experience isn't as polished. There's something I think attractive about just the local spots. And I think our generation might be losing touch on that in ways that my grandparents or my parents might have just been assumed, which is why I'm so excited about doing this branding project with you, because I think not only can it hopefully serve you and your business to be able to like grow, find new audiences. I think hopefully other small businesses can kind of, learn from different aspects of what you do, and hopefully be able to apply that into whatever their, business is all about. So has there been any parts of this project where you've been able to kind of stop your day-to-day just managing your restaurant and been able to kind of take a step back and think more strategically about who is Thai Time? What are we all about? Are there any like kind of nuggets of wisdom that you've kind of gleaned through the project so far? Anything that you're excited about moving into the future?
Yes, so definitely I realized the duality of our current world, that everything's online, everything's like on social media, AI and all that jazz. We never really put some thought into say branding or the importance of having like an online presence or anything. So I've realized that in order to survive in the modern world, not only do you have to be technologically adapted, but you also have to get your brand out there, and you have to get your story out there, because nowadays, everyone's on their phone, and yes, everything is online and kind of connected but disconnected. But you definitely need to use that as a business advantage to get your name out there or your business out there, because I feel like what was I gonna say? It's very important in this day and age. Even if we try to avoid being just another number or a faceless like customer and such.
There's been so many cool things I've learned about Thai Time that I didn't know, because I talked about this in a previous video too, but I knew you and I knew your family kind of remotely back in the JID days. I spent all of my money in college at your restaurant. And so I knew your parents some. I talked to you a few times. And just the things that I've been able to learn from talking to you during this project, that to me is like, what a cool thing to be able to share, is like your family, your parents learning how to do a Thai restaurant really by just jumping into restaurants themselves and learning the tricks of the trade, learning the different responsibilities, different roles that go into owning a restaurant. Even the cruise ship love story, it's just really, really cool. And it gets more exciting kind of the more I've been able to kind of peel the layers back, because there have been just so many things about your family, about your restaurant that I didn't know about. And now trying to think through, like, how can we take your story and implement it into your brand in a way that people can connect to? Because I think everybody on some level can connect to, like, learning how to do something, kind of facing adversity, overcoming adversity, having your restaurant ran through with a car. Just kidding. Probably not many people know about that.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Tell that story. We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So back in April of 2024, a driver was speeding away from a police chase, and they basically lost control of the car and slammed into our kitchen, which destroyed that half of the dining room and also the entire kitchen, all the equipment and stuff we had in there. And so that was a little setback in our second year opening.
Yeah.
And so
the one thing you probably weren't expecting for was a car to crash through your...
Luckily, we were close and no one was hurt, but thank God. We also had the support of the Knoxville community, who reached out and donated to our GoFundMe page and offer any kind of assistance in real life, whether it be putting up drywall or cleanup, and just very heartfelt moments where the community really came together to support this brand new restaurant.
That's very cool. That's like my dream, I think, through this project, is if I think there are just a lot of people in Knoxville, in our community, and probably in every community, I would imagine, where we want everyone to succeed, at least to some level. I think one, it takes like humility on your part to be able to say, like, hey, we do need help. But then just intentional kindness, I guess, like people in Knoxville gave to your family, I think is very commendable. Thank you if you did that, because who knows, what would have happened without it.
Wouldn't be here. Yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked some about your family's past, kind of the present circumstances that your restaurant's in, some of the opportunities to be able to really shape how people interact and see your business. Can you talk some about, like, what are the long-term goals? Like, what are the ways that you hope to see Thai Time grow in the future?
Yeah. So of course, like any business, we look to scale up and grow. Hopefully we can add more members to the Thai Time family somehow. And maybe once we get into another building or facility, we can expand and grow even more. So just want to let everyone have the opportunity to try our food, try our recipes, and it's just some really good Thai food that I would love for everyone to get a chance to try. And so in order to do that, I think we need to utilize our like modern technology, whether it be AI or just any kind of apps or social media. Since we put it off for so long, we kind of feel disconnected about the ongoings around Knoxville. But now I kind of realize that you do need a social media or online presence. And in order to do that, we welcome external help with brand building, and with you, with Pens and Pixels, and just anyone who are looking to help us grow and shine positively. Yeah. So I think that's what we need for the future.
Do you think that AI is gonna take over the Thai restaurant industry?
Hopefully in a positive manner, like maybe speed up the process. And yeah, right. Hopefully it doesn't take your jobs or my job, but it definitely can help.
Yeah, I want. So a few months ago, I had this idea, and I wasn't sure if Jay really remembered me at all from back in the JID days. So I came up with, I had like a 1-page paper that was basically like, hey, I want to do some design work for you. And that kind of had like all of the ideas I had. And I walked in, I think you were out maybe. I think you might have been actually like going to buy food. So I gave it to the cashier and I was like, can you just pass this on to the owner? And when I left, I was like, there's no way on earth that they will not assume that I am not some type of like scam artist or, something shady. So I got in my car and I was like, should I go back in and like try to smooth things over or like give them like my driver's license, some type of way to identify myself. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this with you. I really enjoyed it. And I'm really looking forward to the future. Just some administrative notes from here on out. I think are moving into like the fun phase for me as a designer. We're going to start, getting into the weeds with, taking product photography pictures of your food, getting into designing, an updated website, thinking through like menus and other print material, all of the things that I go to sleep, excited about doing the next day. I'm sure many of you will probably be bored by that, but I encourage you to subscribe, to head to Thai Time, just stay up to date with what's going on, and hopefully through this process, like I said earlier, we can help you guys kind of evolve into the next phase of your restaurant career, but then also we can connect people in Knoxville in a more tight-knit way and more supportive way. And I wanted to close. If people want to, if they're looking at their watch right now and they recognize that it is Thai time, how should they go about getting in touch with you, ordering some food from you? What's the best way to just stay in the loop with all things Thai time?
For sure. All in one, you can contact us through our website, www.thaitimenow.com. Or look us up on Facebook and Instagram at ThaiTimeTN.
Okay. I'm checking my watch right now, and it's 1:15 Thai time. Quick question. If you were going to order something off the menu right now, what would you recommend?
For sure, we're known for our drunken noodles.
Incredible.
The khao soi curry noodles is another top tier
Very good
dish. And also pad krapao, also known as basil stir fry. Yeah. We grow the basil out front of the shop ourselves. So
see, things that small businesses can do that your big chains don't. They grow their own basil. That's sick. If you're not into if Thai food is new to you, you haven't had it much. The pad Thai, I think is a pretty safe introduction. It's the gateway drug.
Definitely.
The yellow curry is my personal favorite. That was the thing that I spent all my money on in college.
Worth it.
Yes, very good. And don't go spicy your first time. You got to build that tolerance up. I'm on a 3, the medium right now, and I've been going for years. I'm soft. So Jay, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really looking forward to working with you in the future. We have a logo change that we're making. So I think next week I will disclose the new logo. We're making some final tweaks to it as we speak, but I'll explain kind of the whole process, the changes, the feedback, why feedback is good, ways to avoid making a logo that looks like brain soup in an ice cream cone. That little tease for you, and I think that wraps it up. So hit the subscribe button, leave us a like, comment if you live in Knoxville. Give me a comment. Say something cool about Thai Time. Say something that you like about it. No, your favorite. If you live in Knoxville, leave a comment saying your favorite menu item from Thai Time. And if you haven't had it, go there and then leave a comment. A little double whammy action. And tune in next week for next week's episode. We kind of get the ball rolling and get into the fun stuff.